All right. What is good, y'all? Welcome back to Chamomile and Convo.
The Human Connection Podcast. Hope everyone's having a good day.
hmm
The best day.
Awesome, awesome. I'm sure you all missed us all. The listeners, I'm sure.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I'm sure they missed us serenading them with our sweet, sweet voices.
I think for the people who are maybe tuning in for the first time, though, then we should introduce ourselves.
Yeah.
My name is Sai.
And I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Olivia. And we are your hosts for this lovely 30 minutes, 20 minutes. What are we doing, Sai?
A little over 30. We can go over 30. We can push it past 30.
And we'll just edit that out if that's not true.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
But yeah, today is really exciting because we're picking up where we left off. So if if you're one of the real ones and you tuned in to the last episode, we mentioned something about nature and how beneficial it could be for our mental health. So I'm gonna open the floor up to you guys. Just share whatever thoughts come to you at the moment.
I don't know about you guys, but I feel like whenever I'm in some kind of mood or just feeling down in some way, I'm always like, when's the last time I've gotten fresh air? When's the last time I've been outside? So, like, I don't know, just from before we get into like some science backed research and everything, just from personal experience, like, I feel I don't know. I feel like I can feel the difference when I step outside and I get some vitamin D when I'm in an open, nature filled environment. But do you guys experience that similarly? Or, like, how do you experience being in nature? Like, are you drawn to it? Does it relax you guys?
Yeah, me personally, Olivia, I feel very, free. And what I mean by free, meaning I have more room to breathe and I feel more connected with everything. I remember when I was, younger, I used to, go outside and when my feet would touch the grass or I will put my hand in the dirt, I just felt more at peace and more happy. And I think the main reason is because, the air, being able to breathe fresh air and having the sun to just shine upon you is just one of those unique experiences. And I kind of relive those moments. So just being outside just really puts me in a good mood because the environment, the wind, the trees, and just the beautiful landscape of just nature in general.
Absolutely. There's a reason you should go out and touch some grass. There's a reason that became a meme. Because it's true. That's honestly sometimes that's all you really need is to just go out and touch some grass. To all the listeners, I want you to really think about this. When is the last time you actually touched grass? You know, not just going out, but actually touching grass. Because I do think being physically um, connected to nature definitely helps with a lot of mental health issues in general. I feel like it's more preventative than anything, I think there's this study from Harvard that said 20 to 30 minutes out in the nature where you don't have to do anything active, you don't have to hike, you don't have to even walk, you can just be sitting down. But as long as you're fully letting yourself be mindful of being out in the nature, there's a lot of benefit to where your cortisol, like that'll help you with maintaining stress, help with anxiety, But yeah, I really want the listeners to think about when is the last time I've been out on the grass.
It's so true. Because I actually read that same study, and it's like, not only have at least all of us experienced just that grounding when we're outside and drop in stress, but it really is backed by a lot of sources. And like the source you were quoting, Sai, they explain like why does this happen, why like why do we feel better when we're outside. And it's exactly what you're saying. It lowers our cortisol, which is our stress hormone, and it activates our parasympathetic nervous system. So for those that might not know what that is our nervous system that calms us down. So we have our sympathetic nervous system that like gets us into fight or flight, gets us in that defensive, anxious state so that we can handle like survival things. It's our ooga booga brain. And then but when we're in nature, we trigger our parasympathetic nervous system, which shifts us from that ooga booga state to rest and relaxation. And
Absolutely.
it's insane.
It's beautiful how that works, right? And that's why I think this show is or this episode is so important, because I've noticed when people when people meet up, let's just talk about this that's right in your face. What are one thing that they do? They leave the house, they go outside of the house, get in their vehicle, drive, get out of their vehicle, and they are out and about. And when we are like at restaurants and stuff, you can see the difference between those who are inside and those who are outside. It's almost as if those who are outside are much more in a good mood, because they're out and about, and they feel more connected, versus being in crowded and in an environment where there's just you just feel like very just bunched together sometimes when you're in closed doors versus outdoors, if I'm making any sense. But it's just that having that space and just being out kind of reconnects us back to our natural inclination, which is being human beings that interact outside with nature itself. So I think that's very unique, that a lot of the happiness, a lot of the good experiences occur when we're out and about and at the parks and spending time with family and friends, or whatever the case may be. Just feel more alive. So
Right. Right. I feel like it's a refresh, is what it does, because when we're really caught up with, it could be work, it could be school, but once you kind of step out and go into nature, it can be a period of I guess it just grounds you, right? I think it grounds you, and it kind of recalibrates your system to not be so caught up in the stress or whatever it might be. And then I think that's what kind of lends to the happier mood. You leave feeling better than when you got there.
right.
It's so true. There's this there's a post, or like kind of a blog post, on the American Psychology Association site called Nurtured by Nature by Kirsten Weir. My apologies, Kirsten Weir. I see her name now. But it really affirms everything that you're saying. She talks about it hosting like a ton of benefits in lowering stress, bettering mood, reducing the risk of psychiatric disorders, upticking in empathy and cooperation, and one thing I wanted to hit on especially was improving attention. Because if
Yes.
you think about it, our attention, I feel like nowadays our attention is so divided. There's so many distractions, there's so many things happening at once. That you have your phone, you have your computer, you have work, you have family, you have like just everything happening at once, and it's hard to really have a moment of focus and tranquility. But the outdoors just removes us from that environment of needing something in front of us, because there's a vast amount of everything in front of us that we can just focus and have our attention on whatever we're doing. And I really think that not only would like you as an individual going outside and experience this healing and experience these just this calm, but go outside with your community, go outside with, you know, the people you consider your people. Because as we talked about in our last episode of the importance of fostering community, the importance of finding your people and really going at putting yourself out there to find it. It's like in combination with having people around you, being outside, there's just so much more focus and bonding, I feel like, can happen.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I was also thinking about the cognitive aspect of it. You know, with the attention spans that we have nowadays, I feel like when you're truly out in nature without, you know, you're not looking at your phone, and you know, it is good to be out there with people to have those connections, but I feel like it is truly valuable to be out there by yourself and just observe. Like either you know, feel it, observe it. I think that can greatly improve your attention in general. What I usually do is I there's quite a few Blue Jays and Cardinals that come through my backyard, so I just go out sometimes. If I see one of them, I'll just watch it for however long it stays out there. I feel like Tony Soprano with the Ducks, but but I feel like it really helps, and really, I guess for me, it helps me detach me from myself, and maybe it recalibrates my attention span too. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
Of course. I
Yeah.
was just, oh, go ahead, Jeremy.
No, go right ahead. I was just going to come in and just, you know, I was just making a response of, you know, that I agree, and I liked both of y'all's feedback and what you all discussing thus far. It's great.
Awesome. I was just going back to the birds. I was just at my aunt's house, and they have like a nature park in their backyard. And I'm like, that's insane. But
Right.
and they have all these bird feeders on their porch, and we would literally just stare at the birds, like, because there was such a variety. So I totally resonate with you on on that, and Tony Soprano and everything. Because you realize, like, when I went back home, I started picking up on all of the nature really around me.
Right.
But also I had a conversation with my aunt about this, and about, like, isn't it great to be so, like, to be connecting with nature and to, like, place yourself there and outside, and you get, like, we were just having this whole conversation, and she told me, like, that we shouldn't be thinking about it as, like, being disconnected from nature, because a big part of it is we're nature ourselves. Like,
Right.
we are a force. that came from this nature. So it's
Right.
even more important to never feel like that it is something that we are separated from, and that it's good to have that time to connect and really just, like you're saying, Sai, like you're saying, Jeremy, just ground in it.
Absolutely. And there's something, since we're speaking about like animals and birds and things of that nature, I'm trying to remember, there was a study, I believe, within newsandhealth.gov, if I'm not mistaken, that mentioned that interacting with animals had shown that it decreased levels of cortisol and stress related hormones, and it lowered blood pressure. And then I saw where there were other studies that were found that showed that animals can reduce loneliness, increase feelings of social support, and boost moods. And I remember at when I was working at the university that they had something, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was called what was the animals that they would bring for those who dealt with mental health. I think it was called therapy dogs or something like that.
Yes,
Um,
yeah.
if I'm getting it correct, something along those lines. But it just proves that just having that interaction with animals can really take a person out of the state of loneliness and to a state where they feel that they're connected with something, even if it's animal, human, whatever. But it just shows that we all, deep in our core, want some type of connection with nature because it's natural for us. And once we get that connection again, it can remind us that we are not alone, that we have people, we have animals, and we have nature in general, and that's something that we once had. But what we had talked about on our first episode, like with technology, being on the phones and being so infused with technology and social media, it has stripped away our natural inclination, which is being outside more, being grounding ourselves, interacting with each other first of all, and secondly interacting with nature itself. So
Right.
it's just something I want to touch up on.
Yeah. Absolutely. And if you really think about it, I think for the vast majority of us, the lives that we live are very unnatural. I mean, like
Wow.
think about, humans from 10,000 years ago to us now. I mean, sure, we both have concepts of home, they had their caves, but they spent all day outside because they had to. They had to hunt, they had to gather, whatever it was. Now, unless you're working a job that needs you to be outside, you're either at the office or you're at home, or, like we're not really living a life that's natural to humans, and with the technology, I think that it's created a new reality. And I think unless people are really intentional, they can lose their touch with nature, which, like you said, nature could just be connecting with animals, like, your pet, or maybe hell, connecting with humans. That's nature. But yeah, I think, like I said, I think it's, I guess, on the individual to be intentional about keeping that connection, or maybe if the connection doesn't really exist, maybe it's time to start that connection. But yeah.
Absolutely. And that speaking of that, to just prove how true everything that we've discussed is, aside from even the documentation and the data that backs it, is when we dealt with the lockdown with COVID. so many people became very depressed and very dark places because they were isolated. And part of that isolation was the fact that they wasn't getting out, um, there's been plenty of days where I may have had a bad day, or I'm not in the right mental state, and just me going outside just to even take the trash out, um by the time I make it back from taking out the trash, or going to the mailbox, I could feel the difference of me being a little relieved. And I came to the conclusion it's because I stepped outside. I just, only thing I did is went out and took out the trash, but because I came out of the house, was able to smell the trees and the grass, and just inhaling those different chemicals that comes from the plants and the environment, like altered um my biochemical makeup in my brain, that made me feel a little bit more relieved just for that moment, just taking the trash out. And it goes back to show the power of nature, the power of being outside and getting out of that isolation, and just making yourself more sociable, or just more in a state of having a personal relationship with the environment itself. That's, if that's touching a tree, or if that's picking up a flower, or sunflower, or whatever the case may be, or just sitting and just being, engaging in mindfulness.
Right. Right. And this is without even mentioning how good sunlight is for you,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
being out in the sun, because there's a mental aspect of it, but also physically, vitamin D. But I truly think, just being out in the sun, as long as it's not too hot outside,
Right.
use
Bring
sunscreen,
your water.
but
Bring your water. Yeah,
bring your
sunscreen,
water and use
water.
sunscreen. But yeah, like I think it really is important for people to experience that, because I try to go out on walks every other weekend or so, and it really feels refreshing when I'm out in that morning sun, as it's just coming up. I feel like that's something that can really have a good you feel like you have a good start to your day when you experience that morning sun, I think.
Absolutely.
Would you like to hear some interesting facts?
Absolutely. Hit us with it, Olivia.
So interesting that you all have been saying this and talking about the sun, because, and especially just to hop us back a little bit, back to COVID, people not going really outside at all and just feeling down in the dumps. I mean, this COVID lasted years,
Mhm.
like I think we're so past it now that it's like we forget. But did you know you can start becoming vitamin D deficient within a month of not really being out in the sun, especially depending on also like how sensitive like you absorb vitamin D.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'll have to do more research into it, because I just feel like everybody I know is like vitamin D deficient, and I'm like,
Right.
what is going on? But also vitamin. So especially during COVID, like I don't know. It's not unheard of to not really be out and about in the sun, or just outside in general, since it was years. So maybe that's why we're vitamin. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent a little bit. My point is, when you are deficient in vitamin D, you are going to immediately feel better being in the sun, and because you're more sensitive to it, and it's something your body has been needing. And vitamin D is also really crucial for mental health, like you were saying, Sai, because it reduces neuroinflammation, and it supports serotonin synthesis. So, Sai, you're saying you're being out in the sun and it just feels so good. Well, vitamin D helps you synthesize serotonin, helps you pick it up in your brain and make you feel really nice and really good. And it also just aids in overall, because it's supporting neuroinflammation, it's also supporting brain plasticity. So you feel focused, you feel healed in some way. So there's so much the outdoors has to offer, and it's so easy just to literally go for a walk or sit outside and just take it all in, because it really is healing and nurturing to your body.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for backing up my opinion with facts.
Absolutely. Yeah,
We can just we hype each other up.
absolutely. It's teamwork. It's teamwork. You know, I'm actually like right now as we speak, I am Olivia, since you had brought up and mentioned like the vitamin D. One thing that I'm reading like now on WebMD is that vitamin D has like an impact on mental health. And Sabrina Felsen, which is MD, doctor, medically reviewed this study and mentioned that vitamin D deficiency may lead to both physical and psychiatric problems. And it has been identified as a widespread problem, particularly in specific populations. And it talks about how the vitamin D deficiency can, lower your bone density, brings about cancer potentially, can benefit to, heart disease and all those different things. So that's something that's very important. And then like with one thing I remember I'm studying a while back is it causes fatigue, forgetfulness, anxiety. And believe it or not, and this study really shocked me. There was a study that mentioned that a lot of suicidal ideations and thoughts was contributed to a very high level of vitamin D deficiency. Can you believe that?
Wow.
Yes, blew my mind, blew my top off. I was like, whoa. So that's just I just want to leave it there. I remember reading that like 2 years ago, and then I just kept doing more research, and it was just mind blowing. So what do y'all think about that? Just that how that one deficiency can lead to some serious complications long term, you know?
Right. To me, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Because if you are deficient, meaning you aren't going outside, I think that goes back to everything we've been talking about this entire episode, is when you are disconnected from nature, you can have all these mental health issues pop up, like anxiety and depression.
Right.
So yeah, go out and get some sun.
Yeah.
Go to the park, like we used to, like we
Right.
used to do. Be human again. Not saying
Right.
that you're not human if you're not out. Some people need isolation for whatever personal reasons, but you want to get out from time to time, of course, and just you'll be surprised how better you feel, and you may meet some people going for a trail walk or anything. You bump into people, you build those relationships, those human connections, and it really helps you. You end up growing with a person, or just meeting new friends, whatever the case may be. But it's just so many benefits with dealing with nature in general. So we should encourage all the listeners, hey, just give it a shot. Connect, build relationships with people, and go to a few parks, just sit, grab, have a picnic, and just relax and see how the experience is for you.
Right. Right. And one last thing I want to say before we do end this episode is I feel like when you are out there by yourself in nature, I feel like it also makes you more reflective and contemplative about stuff that you may not be giving yourself the time to think about. Because when you're caught up with other stuff, you don't have the time to think about stuff. But when you're truly out there without any distractions, I think it can be really beneficial to be mindful and reflective.
You're focused, you're in a less stressed state of being. It's just a great place to think. It's a great place to relax. If you do struggle with any kind of PTSD or anxiety, or like I know there's some hormonal disorders that struggle with high cortisol, out being outdoors really does help. That is like what I think all of us are emphasizing, is just to take that time for yourself, and if you find it helpful, invite others with you and just enjoy.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. I think we should leave the listeners with a book recommendation, or something that will really kind of tie into what we discussed. Do any of y'all have any recommendations of good books to read that can help an individual reconnect or inspire them to get back out with nature?
This is a great question.
I don't have a book. I have a website.
Okay.
Go on alltrails.com.
Oh yeah.
And pick the closest trail to you. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be a hike. It could just be literally just a 10-minute walk. But there's so much around you. I think it's easy for people to not realize. When you live in an urban environment, you think there's no nature around you, but truly it's all around you. You just have to go look for it. Use the resources that you have and just go out, find something that you think would be interesting to you.
And I would just like to recommend, while you're on these beautiful nature trails, my favorite books to read. They're not self-help books, but they're just fun. They're about journeying. They're about purpose and courage. They're classic reads. If you haven't read them already, you should read The Alchemist.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you should read Lord of the Rings.
Yes, two excellent books. Absolutely.
Purpose, courage, journeying, just makes you feel good while you're on your own personal journey.
Absolutely. And I have one recommendation that pertains to nature, and it's called Braiding Sweet Grass by Robin Wall Kimmerer, and The Hidden Life of Trees by Peter. Can't pronounce this name right. Forgive me, Peter, but Peter Wallabin, I believe. So those are actually two books. Sorry. There's something. One of them I've read. I actually have read personally. It was a while back, and then the second one is one that I just looked up. So yeah. But yeah, we are so glad that you all tuned in again. Please subscribe, follow us on our Instagram, which we'll have all the details in the bio. But we really appreciate you all, and thank you all for listening once again.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys next time.
Woo-hoo!
Peace.